In this video, I'll share with you all my tips and tricks which I use in managing email. Hey guys, this is Great on Planet Great. If you're new here, do consider subscribing. There's a button down on my left or right. Are you one of those people that gets lots of email every day and you just can't get through all of it? You've got lots of people following up after you, but you're not able to catch up with all of it. You're not able to get your work done because there's just too much mail coming in that you try to focus on that and try to reply, but you've got your own work to finish. Are you running out of email space on your email server? Well, maybe this video is for you. So in this video, I'll share my 5 F's which I use in managing email. For those newcomers out there, my name is Graydon Chera and I have been working in the technology industry for quite some time before. That's about 17 years. And now I'm working as a real estate broker. Anyway, I'm here to share my tips and tricks when dealing with email, whether you work in a corporation or you might be working for your own business, or you might want to just share this with the people working for you. So, let's get started. So, the first F you must know is the word forget. So these are emails that kind of useless emails that you really don't need on a day-to-day basis. So what are you supposed to do with this email? Forget it. So examples of this kind of email are junk mail, spam mail that comes in, people offering stuff which you really don't need. You might also get all these notifications from various systems or things that you have subscribed to, which are kind of useless information which you typically just delete or archive or whatnot. You might also get email from people you don't know. So what do you do with this kind of email? So for this kind of email, which you should forget, there are some options. Number 1, you can delete, but of course if you delete it, it's going to come again. You may choose to also unsubscribe if the option there is to unsubscribe, if it exists. Of course, there is another option which is to block. Block or mark as junk mail, spam mail. Email hosts typically would have options to mark something as spam or junk, so you can do that. Or you can block the email if there are options to block, so that you'll never receive it again. So in recap, that's the first letter F, to forget. So if you don't want that kind of email, it's useless information, what better way than to forget the mail by either deleting, unsubscribing, or blocking? So let's move on to the next kind of F. So guys, this next F deals with information that you necessarily don't need right now, but you can actually store it for next time, or store it somewhere where you can pull it up anytime you want, etc. So which F is this? It's called to file. So what are examples of this file thing? Well, you receive a project file which will be used at a later meeting at some point in time, but you don't know when. Just file it in your folders. You're given some presentation materials which you will use in the meeting at a later time, and you just have to wait for that meeting. So what are you going to do with the document? You can just file it. All these documents like Word documents, Excel documents, whatever other documents which, well, you find that there might be some value in them at a later point in time, but you don't need to actually work on something. So what do? File it. So the tricky part is how to file this information, because information can be in an email, it might be a task, or it might be a file that you need to store somewhere. So how to file these things? Well, if it's actually a file, you can create folders in Windows Explorer or your own hard drive. Make folders and store them properly per project or whatnot. If it's an email, I highly recommend you get a CRM and store the information as part of a CRM so that you can track it in your pipeline. If you don't have a CRM, please make folders in your email server so you can store the information and pull it out and search for it at a later point in time. If it's a little bit of information that you need as part of a meeting and it's not a file but just information, you can file it in your calendar, set a meeting, put it in the calendar description, and keep it there so that when you have the meeting, you just have to open it up. So another thing is, it could be a task or some sort of deliverable, something you have to do at a later point in time. But where do you file such things? Not in your hard drive, not in your calendar. You might want to store it in your calendar as a task. You can do that also, or use tasks also in your, for example, Gmail or whatever. They have a task feature for tracking. But I typically store these. If you're a project manager and you need to store something like this, I put it within the project plan. Could be an Excel file or Microsoft Project or whatever other project tracker that you have. So what's great about this F, filing, is after you finish completing the file or filing the information, the next step that you should do is to forget. So it goes back to our very first F, to forget. So you can delete the email, you can do whatever you want with the email. Usually I would delete it or just archive it for future reference. So what is the third F word? Well, let's find out. So the next F word is one of my favorite F words. It's not favorite, I mean the word favorite, but it's one of my favorite F words because it's pretty versatile, this F word. This F word deals with, like, you receive information via email and it's not something necessarily that it's for you, but it's actually for someone else. So what do you do with this kind of mail? Or for example, someone emails you and says that they need help with something, but you know that someone else can do it? Well, this F word is none other than forward. So forward is also all about delegation. So if you receive an email, you know that someone else can do it better for you and they can partner with you to get it done, then you can just forward it to that person. So you might receive information that's not part of your scope, but someone else might need information. Then what do? Forward it. You delegated something to someone else and someone completed it and got back to you via email. What do you do with the information they provided? Well, you can forward it to the person who you accepted the task from. Actually, the ones that you delegate out to and you have committed to someone else to finish, make sure to track this either in like the calendar or even your diary or even like your project plan or Excel. So after you finish all this forwarding and delegating things out to other people or sending mails to other people to share the information, and you're finished marking things down in your project plan or your calendar, what do you do with the email that you originally started off with? Fortunately, which is another F word, you go back to the first F, to forget. So you can actually delete or archive or do whatever you want with that email in your inbox. Forget it. Now we're gonna move on to the fourth F, and fourth even starts with the letter F. So let's head over to the fourth F. So guys, we're gonna go on to the fourth F. The fourth F is a very simple F. It's an F wherein, you know that someone's supposed to do something for you, but the email is coming to you and you know that someone else is doing it for you. So this one is a very easy one. It's called follow-up. It's as simple as remembering who's supposed to do something and then contacting that other person is supposed to get it done for you via email or telephone or SMS or whatever is the most efficient for you or how urgent the request is. Urgent, you can hear all those sirens and whatever, then you have to follow up with that other person. So as usual, after following up, what do you do with that email? Well, as you can guess, you have to forget it. So you can delete it, or whatever, and you can just mark it somewhere or store it in a CRM. But typically you can just delete it because you don't have to follow up anymore. You already followed up with other people. Other times I'm a nitty-gritty person, so I typically mark it in my project plan that I did follow up at this particular date for proof. So as you can see, we've gone through 4 F's: forget, file, forward, follow up, and all of these usually ends up with forget after you finish the actions required of each F. There is one last F, which is pretty much the most important F as long as you finish the first 4 F's. I don't know what your priorities are, but you can finish the first 4 F's and then you have to focus on the last F. Or you might want to focus on the last F depending on how urgent the items in the last F is or are. Are you about to pee in your pants waiting for this last F? Well, this last F is... So this last F is the F where the information or an email came in and you alone are supposed to finish it, or you're not able to delegate it out. Oh gosh, I already mentioned the last F in my sentence a while ago. The F is to finish. So these are things which you are supposed to work on. So these are things like analysis of some information or data where you should use your creative mind and analytical mind to really finish it. It might be a presentation that you're supposed to present the following week, and then, no one else can do it, or you can't delegate it out to someone else because you have some special way, creative way of putting it together, and all the words are needed, the proper words are needed to present it in a positive light. Well, you gotta finish it. An email comes to you and you're supposed to give a couple of calls to finish something else or whatever. So make those phone calls, get them done, finish it. There may be some emails where they require some sort of meeting to be called. So, and at that point in time, this borders on the follow-up or, delegating later on. But you're calling the meeting. So what do? Finish scheduling the calendar invite with the people that are supposed to attend the meeting so that it can get done. Finish it. Of course, if an email comes to you and the task is very complex, and you feel you can't complete it by yourself, but there are items there which you're supposed to finish, the best thing to do is really chop the work up into bite-sized pieces and use the first 4 F's. Forget it, follow up, forward, file, to chop it up and get the work done, right? And of course, the items which you're supposed to finish, then finish it. So we've gone through the 5 F's. The first one is to forget. Number 2 is to file. Number 3 is to forward. Number 4 is to follow up. And the last one is to finish. I feel like I just want to help you out there, with these little tips and tricks that I learned along the way. I'm not an expert in all these things, but I just want to share what I know and what I do, what I've learned along the way, so that you can be a better person, when you're working either in the corporate world, or you might have your own business, you might be managing people, you want to get them to become a better person, more efficient, more productive. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the first in a series that I hope you will appreciate. The train appreciates it. That I hope you appreciate. And if you do like this video, please subscribe. If you know any other way to manage your email, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you on how you manage your email and keep everything productive. So with that, I hope you become a more productive and greater person as you go along your day. Have a great day.